How's it going, everybody? My name is Ben from the Ben and Bev channel, and today we're talking about WandaVision Episode 8, the aptly titled Previously On. If you have not seen the other episodes of WandaVision up to this point, I would definitely check those out, as things are probably about to get fairly spoilery in the next few minutes for you. So at the end of last week's episode, it was revealed to us that Agnes was indeed Agatha the Harkness, the witch from the Marvel Comics. And we get to see a lot more of that this week, and a lot more of her power and what all she can do, as well as if that bunny is really a bunny or not. At the beginning of the episode, we get a little glimpse of kind of her backstory in the moment when she realized her full potential, which took place in Salem, Massachusetts, sometime around the witch trial period in 1693. They show her coven kind of condemning her, and they're either trying to kill her or draw some power out of her or something because she's possessed with something a little bit too strong. It's a really cool scene to see. Super dark and tends to be a little unpleasant at times in that moment. But it's a good parallel for what comes ahead as Agnes really tries to discover, or I guess Agatha the Harkness tries to discover when exactly Wanda figured out her power's full potential, as she goes through these Monsters Inc. / Shazam style doors where we get to see a different, whether it's a color or a symbol, it lends to what part of Wanda's life we are going to see when we go through them. It's almost like the Ghost of Christmas Past sequence from the Ebenezer Scrooge story, and we get to see glimpses from Wanda's childhood, as well as when she's at the Avengers encampment, all the way up until when she goes to the Sword encampment looking for Vision's body and whereabouts. We find out a lot more in this episode about Wanda's power, and it's pretty mind-blowing when we do get the big reveal, especially for that last clip right at the end of the episode. The after-credits scene at the end of the episode was super cool, but it definitely has me a little concerned for the finale next week, because I don't see this being a pleasant end for any character except for Wanda. And the only reason she's for certain is because I know she's in Doctor Strange 2, and I don't know what condition she's going to be in by the time we get there.
You've been warned.
So we definitely get to see a lot more of Agatha's power, as it shows her drain that entire coven of witches of their life force at the beginning, including one that's her mother, so it also shows how heartless she really is, and maybe power crazy. There's also that little Easter egg with the House of M symbol popping up in her protection runes. She also kind of threw Wanda around like a rag doll, which was pretty hard to see because Wanda had no power and is rendered utterly powerless for most of this episode, forced to just go through whatever Agatha throws at her and puts her through, which is mainly just kind of like psychological torture. She makes her relive these different scenes from her life and all the different traumas that just kind of lended to her gaining her powers and forcing them out of her. The childhood one, she throws some shade and says it has Cold War aesthetic, which is the one where the Stark bomb goes through the apartment and her brother have to watch her parents die. But it appears that she may have stopped that bomb from going off. I'm not really sure, though. You couldn't really tell from there. From that point on, we go to Hydra, where they are introducing her to the Infinity Stone for the first time. Agatha criticizes her for joining Hydra, thinking that it was a good cause, which I thought was pretty bold, since, you know, she is the villain in all of this, who killed her own mother a few minutes ago. But it is a fair critique, because Hydra never really struck me as someone you'd want to volunteer for. But when she got the Infinity Stone, it blew apart and turned into the yellow Infinity Stone, which was weird. And it got even weirder when we see what looked like Scarlet Witch from the comics coming through the Infinity Stone towards her with the weird devil-looking headpiece thing. And that's a pretty big moment, since they haven't directly referenced that in any other way besides through some of the stylized things. Also, speaking of stylized, the sitcom style was explained because throughout all of these scenes in Wanda's life, especially in the childhood scene, we see all these different sitcoms that she's watched, her favorite being The Dick Van Dyke Show, as well as I Love Lucy and Malcolm in the Middle lying around throughout there. And it shows after each event, whether it was in the interaction with the Mind Stone or after Pietro's death, she just watches sitcoms to try and ease herself from this chaos that she's found herself in. And that big reveal at the end where she gets that letter from Vision, I wasn't sure if she brought it to the Sword place or if she had it earlier or what it was, but it was basically that he had bought a house plot in Westview, so she saw the whole town and then just created all of it. And that's the big plot twist, is it really is all Wanda, and she is some legendary character, the Scarlet Witch, as Agatha the Harkness says, which is a pretty funny, goofy reference. But I'll take it. We finally are going to use that name for her because she truly can create pure chaos magic out of anything, which has me a little worried about Doctor Strange too, since Mordo's going to be in there and he hates chaos magic and he's probably going to try and kill Wanda off the drop. And I mean, it's just getting grim. We have that after credit scene where they have Vision's body successfully reanimated. We finally understand Hayward's true intentions. It's like a ice blue Mr. Freeze looking Vision, and then he makes a kind of devious Frieza smile from Dragon Ball Z expression as he looks at his hand animation, and I honestly thought he was just about to kill everyone in the room. I don't think he's going to be a good guy. We're inevitably going to have to see Vision and Vision fight, in my opinion, and that's probably going to be sad. That'll probably be where that casualty is. I have no idea what condition Wanda's going to be in by the time she gets to Doctor Strange 2. I mean, everything will probably be taken from her. It's not going well right now. Also, I wanted to point out a highlight for me that is a highlight all the time is Vision's comments on humanity. And that flashback, it was similar to the lines delivered in Ultron when he was speaking to Ultron at the end before we finished him off, where they talked about humanity and its impermanence and how that's important. The scene with Wanda where he's talking about grief, and let me find it on my notes here. He says, "What is grief if not love persevering?" And just to hear that, among all the other things that this android has said about humanity from his outsider's perspective, it always just kind of brings chills to me every time he says something like that. They just give him the best lines every single time he's on screen and someone has to talk about being human. It's like, hey, who should we make do it? The guy that's not human but knows everything. It's a perfect idea. I mean, I am so excited for next week's episode, but I am so terrified because I don't know where it's going. In short, this week's epic, phenomenal travel through Wanda's life and kind of a chaotic stroll down memory lane, if you will. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the after credit scene reveal that is just going to be a further complication in the finale episode next week. The stakes are super high. I have no idea what condition Wanda will be in. I think that's probably the third time I've said that. But it's looking like it's just going to be one massive dramatic experience next week, and I'm just trying to fast forward through the time to get there. Anyways, guys, please shoot us a like. That is the best way to help us out on the algorithm. Leave a comment and a subscribe if you would like to as well. Ben from the Ben and Bev channel out. Catch you next week for the finale.